fundamentally we know we haven't been at our best, and we know that the phone's been off the hook, but now the phone is on the hook again, and I hope you've got a sense of that. And the question is, can we get the voter, can we get the New Zealand public to actually take our call and to be able to come forward and actually give them a program that they say, that's what I want to see from an alternative government in waiting. So I think we've got positive signs. The message very clearly is it is game on for 2023. We've got 7 quarters to get ourselves organised. 2 of those quarters will be a campaign, and that work really has started today and over summer as we've got it into it. We're in the ascendancy, the government's in the descendancy, and we've got a big opportunity ahead of us. But what I'd say is we're still underdogs, and we really have to do our job. And our job comprises of 2 things. We have to be able to oppose the government really strongly and call them out for a failure to deliver. But we also, and the New Zealand people are expecting it from us, to come forward with our own ideas of how we take the country forward together. And so that's one of the messages that we've already started to talk about, we'll continue to talk about tomorrow. But it's very important that if we do that job right, oppose and propose, the New Zealand people will start to see that we are a credible, strong alternative government that is the right people to take the country forward from 23. Now, what I'd say to you is the opposing part is really easy because I have to be honest, the government gives us lots of material to work with. And I'm not trying to be mean or deliberately harsh or critical for the sake of being critical, but you just got to look at it in a really objective way, and it doesn't matter what you touch, everything's not being delivered. And there's a big failure to deliver. There's a big addiction to spending. We're seeing that 68% growth in public and government spending over the last 5 years. And as a result, our economy is not going well. It's failing to deliver. We've got a situation now, we have inflation going at twice wage growth. That's a big problem. It's going to become the preeminent problem, I'd put it to you, over the next year for the New Zealand people. We'll get, they'll see through Omicron, but the key issue is the cost of living is going up, and what are we going to do about that? There's a failure to deliver on health. We're undertaking a massive bureaucratic health exercise, but at the same time we can't get vaccines, we can't get RATs or rapid antigen tests, and we certainly can't get ICU beds. And so, there's no delivery happening in healthcare. There's no delivery happening in education. As I've said before, the most startling statistics since I've come to politics, 60% of our kids go to school regularly. 40% don't make school, get inside the gates, 9 days out of 10. We've got challenges where we're in the bottom in terms of maths, reading and science now of the English developed country speaking parts of the world. That's a big problem, that we care deeply about that being turned around. There's a failure to deliver on law and order. We're seeing it, big proliferation in gangs and not a lot of support for frontline police. There's a big ongoing failure to deliver on the environment when emissions are up, renewable electricity is down, and we're importing boatloads of Indonesian coal. And we've talked a lot about a failure to deliver on housing, which we've seen time and time again, that how do we live in a country that has the same land size as Great Britain and Japan with a lot more population, and we can't sort out a housing crisis and a housing challenge. So failure to deliver is very easy for us to talk about, and we're going to hold the government really accountable for that, because we came to politics to get things done, to get outcomes for people so they can get on and improve their daily lives, and that's why outcomes really matter and delivery really matters. But it's not enough to just oppose, and we need to demonstrate to New Zealanders that we have the solutions that they want to see from us as an alternative government. And I know why I'm here, and I know why many of you are here. We are here to help New Zealand realise its maximum potential, and that's maximum potential economically, socially, environmentally. We're here to make sure that each and every individual in this country has a chance to flourish and to realise their individual potential as well. And that's our mission. That's why we care, that's why we're here, and that's what I want us to be thinking very deeply about. We want each Kiwi to set off on this world with a chance to deliver their Kiwi dream, whatever that may look and feel like for them. That's what we have to be able to help them with and get them to do that. Now, we know that the economy is a big thing. We know the size of our economic engine is what ultimately enables us to be able to invest in our society and obviously into our environment. And we know how to manage an economy. And let's be clear about it. We understand that when a Kiwi works hard for an hour just to earn what an Australian earns doing the same job in 44 minutes, that's something that we need to be able to fix. We know that when hard-working Kiwis see the cost of living going up twice as much as their incomes, that's a big challenge that we have to be able to work towards and solve. And we know when we see small business people who have actually given up expanding their businesses that we have a big job to do to unleash enterprise and entrepreneurship and ambition and aspiration and optimism and confidence in order to make that, unleash enterprise again. But it just can't be that we're the party that does the economic stuff and that Labor is the party that does the social stuff and the Greens are the party that do the economic stuff. Because the reality is the economy, the society and our environment are all interlinked. They're not siloed things. They are actually reliant upon each other. They're codependent. And so I want us to start to think about it being an and, not an or. If we're just going to be all about the economy, that's a real challenge. And I say that because my observation of centre-right parties, and we talked a little bit about it this morning, is that wherever you go around the world, there's two problems with centre-right parties. One is the people don't think we care about them. We talk about things and we don't demonstrate that we care about them. And the second thing I'd say to you is that we don't apply our centre-right politics, principles and beliefs and means to solve some of the biggest problems that people have. And I think there's a huge opportunity for us to be able to bring our centre-right politics and principles to the biggest problems in order to deliver the biggest outcomes and improvement in outcomes for people in their daily lives. We care deeply about people. That's why we're here. And I want to underscore that time and time again. And we know that when we care deeply about people, we put our centre-right politics and principles to belief on the biggest problems. That's when we start solving problems. That's when people start believing in us. And so it's not good enough just for us to sit there and criticise. We actually have to be able to come forward with new ideas. So oppose and propose is the way that we need to do it. The Labor Party believes in an equality of outcome, and we as centre-right parties believe fundamentally in how do we get an equality of opportunity? How do we get as many people as possible to get on the starting line in the same way? So they've got the same shot at life, they've got the same opportunity to be able to fulfil their Kiwi dream, whatever that is. And so for us, we do believe that if you actually get people, how do we get to the starting line and get people more equal and get things more fair? Well, we need to improve access to education. We need to expand the opportunity to work. We need to increase access to entrepreneurship. That's how we get things done. We want to take that equality of fairness and that opportunity to make your shot, and that means that we have to be caring about upward mobility. If actually we say, look, everyone's got an equal shot in life and you've just got to work hard and make it happen. But the reality, I think, and we have to care about this, is that those lower rungs on the ladder of social mobility seem to be breaking down. And so that's why we do care deeply about an education system. That's why we do care deeply about the vulnerable. Because, it's not good enough to write off a whole proportion of New Zealanders who are poor and doing it tough and say, hey, listen, you just sit out on welfare, slightly above subsistence and poverty for the rest of your life, thank you very much, and that's all we expect from you. That's not what we think. We think that we can make powerful targeted interventions to help those people lift up, rise up, and actually get their shot at the Kiwi dream as well. And that requires us to do the work, because it's not good, it's not caring and it's not kind just to consign people and write them off. Because we believe in them, they've got lots of opportunity, we've got an expectation that they can live an awesome life and move from welfare to work. And so those are the kinds of problems that we've got to get our heads around. How do we generate an economy for sure that drives higher incomes? Yes, how do we generate an economy that can fund infrastructure? But how do we really get into an issue where we build a fairer, better education system that sets our kids up to do an exceptionally good job so they can actually achieve whatever they want to achieve, like many of us in this room were able to do. But I'm not sure that shot is available for people now. It doesn't matter how hard you worked and your circumstances, we need to help people get on those lower rungs of social mobility and get moving. Same thing, as I said, with people who are vulnerable. We can't just write them off. We want them to flourish and to realise their potential. So the headline is really simple. We need to demonstrate to the New Zealand people we care deeply about them, and we need to go out and meet with them and engage with them, engage with the communities and organisations that are seeing the pain, the hurt, the frustration at the front lines. We need to get out and meet with sector bodies who have ideas that can help us build solutions and proposals and plans that can take the country forward. At the same time, we want to bring our intellectual principles of centre-right politics and apply them to some of the biggest, most challenging, gnarly problems we have in this country. And we can't just sit there criticising and saying, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We have to care and we have to go in and actually sort the chain and get it sorted so that people can have that shot at life and at their Kiwi dream. It's game on, but we have 7 quarters to go and every quarter matters. And so I believe firmly if we make a decision today, in 13 weeks' time we can feel the consequences and the outcomes of those decisions. So we can't lose a quarter, we can't lose a week, every day kind of matters as we go forward. We do have to change to win. We have to make sure that we can demonstrate we care deeply about people. We have to demonstrate that we have ideas and solutions with our centre-right politics and principles that are really applicable to solving the biggest problems that we have in this country. I know that we can do that. We're going to start to build a high-performance team, because when we get to government, the country's going to need some serious fixing, and we're going to be moving at 100 kilometres an hour from day one. And we're not going to sit around and form working groups and have a chat and think about what we're going to do. We're going to be ready to go. From my point of view, yes, I mean, what we have to demonstrate to New Zealand people is we care deeply about them. We care deeply about education, because that's a kid's shot at being able to make their Kiwi dream come to life. We care deeply about the vulnerable and the poor that are consigned to welfare for the rest of their life. We have expectations of them. We know we want to be able to help them. We want to be able to have targeted interventions that get them to lift up, rise up, and become independent. So those are issues that historically, if centre-right parties just stay in the world of economic management and national security and law and order, we want to go have conversations on our biggest problems. The message that we've been trying to say to the government right now is that if you fundamentally care about the poor and the vulnerable, you would actually take stock of the government spending that's up 68% in 5 years. Because if you don't start to shape it now and actually get it into shape, the problem is you end up having to make some tougher decisions and some big austerity cuts, and that ends up cutting public services, and it ends up affecting and impacting the most vulnerable and poor in New Zealand. And so my argument to Grant Robertson is, if you are fundamentally care about poor people, then you would be a fiscal conservative. You would be good with the economy. You would actually make those decisions, because the people that get hurt the most are the poor and vulnerable as a consequence. So, we will always be about believing that if we can create a good economy, that's a great way in which we can lift people up. But the economy is one part of our country. We have a social challenges, we have environmental challenges, we have economic challenges. They all actually are interrelated and linked. And so it's not just as simple as National does the economy, Labor does social stuff, and the Greens do environmental stuff. Those three issues are codependent upon each other. The signals come back really clearly. Government spending's up 68% in 5 years. That's going to cause inflation, and it's driving into some of that inflation, particularly when you've got a constrained economy that actually is in full employment, labour shortages, and then that's going to lead to higher interest rates. And so if you don't get that gripped up early, you will be in a place where you actually face cuts, because at the end of the day, those borrowings have to be repaid. And so that's not good, and that's not what we want to be able to do. We've got to spend money. We should keep investing in this country big time, but you can't waste money, because if ultimately it ends up impacting poor people. And I think, as I said before, I thought the government did a really good job in 2020, and I think it's important to say so. But I think 2021 was a shambles, and as a consequence, we're now seeing everything is not getting done, and there's poor delivery, and there's a failure to deliver. And so when I look at a simple thing like rapid antigen tests, in Singapore for a year, you can actually, go up to you get pinged on your app that you've got potential close contact. You go to a vending machine, you scan your app with a QR code, you get given a rapid antigen test, you take it, and then you upload your result quickly within half an hour into the country's management system, case management system. That's normal in other parts of the world. There is 195 countries and 7.8 billion people going through this stuff. Why haven't we thought like that? There are businesses here that have really cared deeply about their employees, large employers. They've gone off and found rapid antigen tests. They believe in it. It keeps their people safe, keeps their customers safe. And the government banned it, and it's been, and we've talked about it, and I know you guys probably are sick of talking about it too. But the bottom line is there's a difference between talking about stuff and doing it. And that's the point that we're trying to make is, look, government's now requisitioned all of that stock, and we don't have rapid antigen tests available for people who want to take personal responsibility before I go see my grandma tonight to actually make sure I'm good to go see it.